Welcome back, y'all, to part 2 of the Redshift top shelf drop bars. I also installed the cruise control grips along with some other components. So join me while I make my way to the first gravel road of the day. So off the bat, I'll tell you what, the bars have been absolutely fantastic. This whole month I've been using them. They felt great. I can't get over how good they've made this bike feel, because honestly, I was ready to get rid of this bike before getting these bars. So it actually saved this gravel build. But a little more recently, I installed the cruise control grips. And as you can see, the road is really rough right now, but I honestly thought I wasn't gonna like them. And I do, I really do. Now, one thing about the top portion of the grips is that I thought maybe they would rotate or something. And as you can tell, I actually wrapped them in pretty crummy bar tape. I didn't want to use the Redshift bar tape grips yet on this because I still wanted to play around with different angles and builds and everything. So these will do for now, just some no-name brand from Amazon. And they don't wrap the best, as you can see, but I got them right where I want them, and feels amazing, especially with this rugged terrain out here. I'm also playing with the drop section, those grips, kind of rotating the angle up and down. So I was willing to put these on just in case if I rip something or mess something up, I can just re-grip them and do whatever. So that's why they don't look the best. Oh yeah, like I said, the gravel and off-road sections that I have here are just extremely tough. But if you've noticed, I've put the infamous Shimano tourney shifters on this bike, and I have it set up as a 1x and 7-speed in the back. These are really infamous because a lot of cycling channels won't touch the Shimano tourney line unless it's a parody video. And the shifting is not conventional, where it's got the dual action paddle shift behind the brake lever. It's got the thumb shifter. But I'll tell you what, if you have larger hands, check out what you can do with a thumb shifter, even though a lot of people said you can't online. All right, just stopping to take a break real quick because summers out here in Florida obviously are insanely hot. I'm very thankful I can tolerate this heat, but I do pace myself still. I don't just go all out the entire ride. But that's a great segue to chat more about the Shimano tourney shifters. As you can see, you can shift from the drops. You gotta angle your wrists just a tiny bit upward just so you can reach the thumb shifter. But honestly, it's not a problem at all. But I think what contributes to that is the flare of these bars and how shallow the drops are. So I think if these were on the traditional road bar shape, I don't think you can really reach the thumb shifters with your thumbs. Again, though, I have really large hands, and that also brings me to the tops of these bars. Because I have the 44 centimeter width, the section between the curve and where the bar splits to the two pieces, my hands do cover the entire length. It's not the biggest deal, honestly. If I didn't have these cruise control grips on, they would be totally fine and I wouldn't feel uncomfortable. But that's just something to know. If you have really large hands, you may need to get a wider bar width. As far as the left shifter goes, I covered the cable housing hole with hockey tape just so no extra gunk gets in there. And that's actually a big reason why I went with these shifters, because they didn't have that secondary paddle behind the brake levers. So from most angles, it looks like a legitimate 1x setup because there's no secondary lever and it's just the brake lever. So the thumb shifter does kind of get hidden. And to me, that looks really cool. As you can see, there's a shifter window indicator. That's all right. I was used to those on my Tiagra 4500 shifters in the past, so that doesn't bother me. And actually, it does help when I'm on gravel because I don't want to look all the way down and not pay attention to the terrain coming up. I can just glance at the shifter window indicator and I don't have to take my eyes too far off the road. Another detail too with the shifters is with the flare of the bars, they do make it quite comfortable to shift and pull the brake lever, but the material that was used for the lever is this matte, slippery finish almost, and that's why I put hockey tape on the levers to add more grip, because personally I think it was a little too slippery for my liking, and I was actually pulling the brake lever, it would pop around my finger and I would have to grab it again quickly. So the matte finish they put on it isn't the best, but with the hockey tape, that totally solves the problem. All right, I cooled down a bit, but I'm gonna get riding because if you sit too long, you get completely drenched in sweat and the airflow doesn't evaporate it as much as it can out here in Florida with the humidity. So let me get going. But yeah, I'll probably have even further detail with the Shimano shifters in a future video. Also, a big thing out here is the washboard effect on these gravel roads. It is super uncomfortable, really hard to ride over, and having these cruise control grips has helped tremendously with it. Especially with control of the bike and the flare of the bars. That's really given me so much stability that I can even ride one-handed now, as you can see, and I'm hitting them so hard. I almost couldn't even see, it was shaking so much, but I had total control of the bike the whole time, even from the tops and also the drops. You know, there's a thing that I noticed with these bars is my favorite position, the arrow hood position that I always talk about, is super comfortable and achievable with them. And then also with the cruise control grips, my forearm is really comfortable when I do set them on the top section. But I feel like there's actually two positions in the drops, and I'll show you right here. Yeah, so it almost seems like there are two different grip positions on the drops because the drops extend so far back, which is the reason why it helped me improve the fit of this bike. There is, I want to call it a forward position, where if you want to get aggressive in aero, you just move your hands to the front of the drops like the traditional way, or if you just want to cruise, including the cruise control grips, as they're called appropriately, you just move further back and it's super comfortable. And again, the stability is amazing with the grips combined with the width of the bars. These bars bring such a dynamic to the ride that there's so many positions depending on how you feel that day, how you want to ride gravel. And you don't have to have multiple gravel bikes, even though we all kind of want multiple gravel bikes. As you might have noticed, I actually don't have the SRAM Rival 1X rear derailleur on this setup anymore. And I went with the Shimano Acera rear derailleur. It doesn't have a clutch, pathless pedaled, recommended it, and I can definitely confirm he was correct. You don't need a clutch. Even with this rough washboard terrain, I haven't had any chain slap nor chain drops at all. Of course, I have a narrow wide front chainring, so that definitely helps because Burn Peak Express proved that that's what helps keep the chain on. But this rear derailleur is fantastic. It was super cheap. It shifts so crisp, even with the sand that's getting in the chain, jockey wheels and everything. I can actually shift under load, especially in the gravel roads, and it just does not skip a beat. So that's my last component update on this bike. If you get a chance, I highly recommend using it if you're doing a conversion, but if it's an 8-speed, it works for that too. Again, with the Florida summer heat, I'm running out of water soon, so I gotta cut it short early on my gravel riding and head straight home. Luckily, I can fly on this bike on the road. Oh yeah, gotta get home soon. I'm running out of water quick. That's kind of the reason why my filming is sporadic for ride videos. I like garage videos, but I prefer the ride videos because it's so blazingly hot. Even at like 6, 7 in the morning, it's still pretty warm. But overall, these bars have been amazing. I knew in the first 5-10 minutes of me riding them that they were gonna work out. So if I didn't want to follow up for you all, I wouldn't have made a part 2 because I just knew. Again, Redshift sent me these bars for review along with the cruise control grips, but there's no sponsorships, no affiliate links or anything, and they don't have any dictation what I have to say about the bars and the grips. So I do appreciate and thank Redshift greatly for sending me these bars because they legitimately saved this build. And in conclusion, if I had this exact situation and there was another reviewer out there that made these videos, I would be convinced and purchase these bars because I just did not want to spend more time parting out the bike, selling it, hunting for a new one, which took forever to find this one. So all in all, if you're thinking about it, just go for it. It is worth it. But what I am affiliated with is State Bicycle. I am an ambassador for State Bicycle. So if you're looking for this exact cycling kit or others from them, check out the affiliate link below. There's a little bit of a discount for you if you go through my link. Because when you go through the link, it helps out my channel and I always contribute everything I make back into the channel to make more and better content for you all. All right, I didn't do a proper outro because I had to rush home. I had no water. It was scalding hot outside. And that's the thing with filming during the summer out here. It takes a little bit longer than a normal ride. So it's pretty tough. So again, sorry for the delays in some of the videos. It's just really hard to get out there. One last little detail I want to add before concluding this video is installing the cruise control grips was a little bit of a challenge. I'm not the best at installing bar tape myself in general. So it was a little bit difficult, but I think with practice and rewrapping them, playing with the angles like I mentioned earlier, I'll be able to master them. But I want to thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you so much for subscribing, commenting, and liking all of my videos. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.